Cause all I want is cash and things. I'm 500, beans wanting flashy rings. Bitches pursue me like a dream. Been known to disappear before your eyes like a dope fiend. It seems my main thing was to be major. Pay the game sharper than the motherfucking razor blade. Save money, bring bitches, bitches bring lies. One nigga's getting jealous and motherfuckers die. Depend on me like the first and 50. They might hold me for a second, but they both won't get me. We got 4 niggas and low riders and ski ass screaming thug like every time they pass. All eyes on me. Live the life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live the life of a boss player. All eyes on me. Live the life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live the life of a boss player. It's even getting hot. Hey, to my nigga Pac. Live the life of a thug nigga till the day I die. Live the life of a boss player. All eyes on me.
Only the best.
Baby, I like your stuff.
Grips on your ways, front way, back way. You know that I don't play. Streets not safe, but I never run away, even when I'm away. OT, OT, there's never much love when we go OT. I pray to make it back in one piece. I pray, I pray. That's why I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me. I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me.
Baby, I like your stuff.
Strength and guidance, all that I'm wishing for my friends. Nobody makes it from my ends. I had to bust up the silence. You know you gotta stick by me. Soon as you see the text, reply me. I don't wanna spend time fighting. We got no time and that's why I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me. I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me.
Down, I'll take it slow, make you lose control. Wet, 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 wet. 'Cause if you're down, 'cause if you're down, 'cause if you're down.
I need a one dance, got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me. I need a one dance. Got a Hennessy in my hand. One more time before I go. Higher powers taking a hold on me.
Only the best.
I'm gonna sip on the strength when I fall. got the ooze. Ship the whole crew to the cruise. Doing shit you don't even see him move. Ride with me, boss. I got a hard head, but her ass off. She want the last name with the ring on it. Cause I pulled out $1 million cash, told her plank on it.
You are unforgettable. I need to get you alone.
Now you want chills, just pop bubbly in the tools.
It's not good enough for me since I've been with you. Ooh. I'm gonna sip on this track when I'm fucked up. I should know how to pick her. I'm gonna catch the rhythm while she push up against me. Ooh, she tipsy. I had enough combo for 24. I picked you from across the road. Pretty little body dancing like go-go, hey. And you are unforgettable. I need to get you alone. Right now, if I can get time, never meet nobody. I got a little time, but it's not worth it. If you love the girl, then I'm so sorry. I gotta give it to her like we ain't no rich. Oh, like we ain't no rich. No, tell nobody. You're on your level too. Tryna do what I do.
You ain't enough for me, too much for you. Alone, baby, go and grab some bad bitches, bring them home. You know the jet's on me, I'ma curb my best for you. You know, so pick up that dress for me, leave the rest on me. Too much combo for 24 hours when you stand next to me, 24 hours. She left her man at home, she don't love him no more. I want your mind and your body. Don't mind nobody, so you'll never hurt nobody. Baby, gon' work your body. Work your body.
And you are unforgettable. I need to get you alone.
Now you want choose. Just pop bubbly in the tools.
Oh, like we ain't no rich. No, tell nobody. You're on your level too. Tryna do what I do.
Only the best.
Can keep my hands on myself. Pick up, dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Kiss my little baby girl isn't me. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Got another mouth to feed. Leave it with the babysitter, mama call the grave digger. Gone with the falling leaves. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give in to that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams. Stop flipping for my enemies. We could wait until the walls come down. It's time to give a little to the kids in the middle. Oh, till it falls, won't bother me. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks. Yeah, your lovers and a bitch for my heart to eclipse now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still.
Only the best.
far beyond reaching. 'Tis the season for pleasing. What happens here stays here. Am I loud and clear? Or is the smoke fucking with your ear?
Rolling on the sofa, smoke another bowl till I black out. Floating on the ceiling, sinking to the feeling. I'm spinning now. Flying over Venus, all the space between us just melts away. The sweetest dreams are waiting, chasing my temptations in the Milky Way. Last night, I got higher than a satellite. I took a one-way ticket, it's a one-man mission to paradise. Last night, I got higher than a satellite. I made a bad decision, baby, now I'm starting to feel alright.
Get left or get right, seatbelt on, prepared to take flight. I'm the captain here, my dear, no veers, just steer through the atmosphere. DP, GC, we be Snoopy, BB. Blow smoke with a verse like it's private, no more commercial flight. I'm cool with the Neptunes and Mars. Stratosphere, out of here, what a night, what a year, what a life. Satter down, satter right, satellite. You can get it if the ticket is right. Dog day afternoon, we can kick it tonight. Yeah, you know I love this shit, but I gotta get back to the mothership. We can do it again.
Last night, I got higher than a satellite. I made a bad decision, baby, now I'm starting to feel alright.
We can do it again. We can do it again.
Dancing outside my body, don't even try to stop me. Dancing outside my body, ground control, do you copy? Dancing outside my body, don't even try to stop me. Dancing outside my body. Dancing outside my body, don't even try to stop me. Dancing outside my body, ground control, do you copy? Dancing outside my body, don't even try to stop me. Dancing outside my body. Last night, I got higher than a satellite. I took a one-way ticket, it's a one-man mission to paradise.
We can do it again. We can do it again.
Last night, I got higher than a satellite.
What you thought you
Only the best.
Like a moth to a flame, I'll pull you in, I'll pull you back to what you need initially. It's just one call away, and you'll leave him, you're loyal to me, but this time I'll let you be. 'Cause he seems like he's good for you, and he makes you feel like you should. And all your friends say he's the one, his love for you is true. But does he know you call me when he sleeps? Or does he know the pictures that you keep? Or does he know the reason
refill my coffee and we'll start it up.
Right here with me, babe, where it truly lies. My baby, where it truly lies. In my arms, baby, where it truly lies. Where it truly lies.
If I can't have you, no one should have mine. I might kill my ex, not the best idea. His new
Yeah, good morning in that. It is Uncle Lou here. Live on LouTube for you. How you doing? Welcome to the, what are we calling this thing now? Morning Shoe. Welcome to the Morning Shoe. Jordan, thank you for the super chat this morning at the start of the show. He says, I told you a couple of weeks ago I wanted to see a 2018 Sugar Bowl rematch. I see there's definitely on the table now. Just hope Texas doesn't mess around and drop a game between now and then. Well, Texas can lose any game between now and then. It won't matter. Won't matter at all. You can't lose more than one. But a 12-1 Texas is going to the playoffs. 12-1, 13-0. Anything other than that? No. Yeah, then you're out. But 12-1, you're in there. You're in there. 12-1. Who fires their lazy head coach first? Clemson or Bama? Neither one of those teams is firing their coach. I'll go with answer C, Michigan State. Two weeks in, and Bama and Clemson are almost halfway to 6 losses. Yeah, that might be the boldest prediction that anyone has ever made that actually comes true. It's a possibility for sure. Good morning, Lou. Great weekend of college football. Can't wait to do it again this Saturday. Yeah, me too. I'm already looking forward to this coming weekend. I heard, do y'all watch SEC Final or College Football Final or any of those wrap-up shows on ESPN? I know I make fun of those shows when I do the Your Season Is Over video, but I do watch both those shows. I record them. I set them to record, and then I watch them Sunday morning when I wake up before I do the Your Season Is Over video. I watch them for like, sometimes you get like interesting stats or something from watching those shows. So I'll watch them or to make sure I didn't miss anything major from the day before. But they made a good point on there on SEC Final, and it's true. And I never really thought about it this way, but it's true with the Your Season Is Over videos or just keeping up with things in general. I'm ready for conference games to start because once conference games start, there's like, it cuts the number of games in half that you have to know about. Like, just take the SEC just as one conference, but then multiply this out by 5 because there's 5 conferences. So there's 14 teams in the SEC. Through the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, there's 12, 13 games a week just talking about SEC teams, right? And then multiply that out. Well, once you start conference play, that number gets cut in half. It makes it easier to keep up with what's going on. Plus, it just makes for more interesting games. I mean, I get tired of, I know everybody trolls me about Georgia's schedule, and I end up having to defend Georgia and argue back and forth with them. And Georgia's just one example. There's a bunch of examples. How many people have watched more than 5 minutes of a Michigan game? How many people have watched more than 5 minutes of a Georgia game? There's no reason to. Unless you're just a huge Georgia fan or a huge Michigan fan, there hasn't been a single reason to even turn a Georgia or a Michigan game on. And those are just two like obvious examples because they're two top 5 teams who have played absolute trash cans through the first 2 weeks. but it's just boring football to watch. Like I said, unless like I watch the Georgia games because I'm a Georgia fan and honestly just because Georgia's the number one team, and so I want to know, you got to be able to talk about them some. But I've watched 10 minutes total, I think, of Michigan live football. I mean, I go back and I read an article on the game and, why, they're doing this, they're doing that. Like McCarthy's throwing the ball a ton. I mean, I do, I read a little bit on it, but there's no reason to watch it, And there's just a lot of those games in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Every year. It so happens this year, Georgia's catching all the flack, because we didn't have that marquee game at the beginning of the year like a lot of other teams do. And like Georgia has in most years past. But it's just terrible football. It really is like the NFL preseason, And I talked about that a little bit in the Your Season Is Over video yesterday, like trying to troll Tennessee because they're only up 13-6 at halftime over Austin Peay, or trying to troll Georgia because it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter against Ball State. I get it that that's fun to do. I do it too when other teams do it. But I hope nobody actually thinks that any of that is actually relevant to how good or bad of a team Georgia or Tennessee is, or Ohio State beating Youngstown State 35-7. I mean, none of that matters. None of that matters. It's just totally unwatchable football. Like I said, outside of like the Ohio State-Indiana game, people watched that because we wanted to see what Ohio State's quarterbacks look like. Even Alabama, Middle Tennessee State. Under normal circumstances, not a soul outside of Alabama fans would have watched any of the Alabama Middle Tennessee State game. But they had quarterback questions. We didn't know really who was going to start and how much one quarterback was going to play versus another or whatever. So maybe some people tuned into that one in the first quarter to check out the quarterbacks. But these games are just unwatchable for the most part. So I'm glad we're getting into conference play. In the SEC, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, several others. But there's not a lot of huge games this weekend, though, really. There's not a lot of huge games. We'll pull the schedule up. I pulled the schedule up yesterday when I was making the Patreon poll for the live streams this coming weekend. But, I mean, there's nothing on an Alabama-Texas level, There's nothing on that level. What do y'all think the best games this weekend are, or the most interesting games? You got Florida and Tennessee are playing this weekend. Georgia and South Carolina are playing this weekend. Are those the two most interesting games in the SEC? I think most people expect Georgia to beat South Carolina pretty easily, but I do think people will actually watch the Georgia game this week, just because at least it's Georgia versus a Power 5 opponent. So I do think a lot of people will watch that Georgia-Tennessee game. And it's the 3:30 game on CBS, right? Georgia, South Carolina. When is the Florida-Tennessee game a night game? It's crazy. Colorado right now has 7 ranked teams on their schedule. You know why? Because the Pac-12 is the best conference in the country. That's why. Every Pac-12 team has 5, 6, 7 ranked teams on their schedule. Oh, well, almost. The Pac-12 is the best conference in the country through the first 2 weeks of the season. That's just a fact. I would put the Big Ten second, the ACC third. I'd probably put the SEC ahead of the Big 12. I don't know. It's kind of going off of 2 weeks makes it a little hard to do, but App State. App State's a good team, but they don't have any. There is no annual major upset for App State. I mean, you can count on one hand the number of Power 5 teams they've beat in the last 15 years. They beat Michigan in 2007, and then they went like 12 years without beating another Power 5 team. You're right, Lou. Milroe ain't it. He's worse than Anthony Richardson. I was a little surprised there weren't more designed runs for him. You know what it looks like to me? And again, I follow college football closely, but it's impossible to follow every single team as closely as fans of every team follow their own team. So I don't know. Maybe the Alabama fans can shed some insight on this. But here's what it looks like to me. It looks like Jalen Milroe is the type of quarterback whose first instinct is to run. If there's any pressure, if a wide receiver is not wide open immediately, like it just seems like his natural inclination is to run. And what it looks like when I watch Jalen Milroe play is that the coaches have beat that out of him. You know, don't be so quick to take off. Don't be so quick to run. Don't be so quick to escape the pocket. Keep your eyes downfield. And it seems like now he almost is forcing himself to throw the ball in some situations where it would be better for him to take off and run, like an overcorrection. He doesn't look as natural. Like even last year when he played, he wasn't great throwing the ball. Obviously, we all saw that when he played last year. But he somehow looked more comfortable playing last year than he did on Saturday. Like he looked nervous. He looked overcoached, or like he was overthinking everything. Roy Fannin, thank you for the super chat. He says, good morning, Lou. Split this with BA. I tried to contribute yesterday during her show, but don't have Cash App or PayPal on my phone yet. Your season is over. It was great. Asking for a friend. Is Arkansas the best in the West? Go Dogs. You know what? I don't. Arkansas has been a little bit better through the first couple of weeks than I thought they would be. I don't think they're the best team in the West, though. And thank you, Roy. Can't believe there wasn't a quarterback change. Mind-boggling. You know what? I watched that entire game, obviously. I was streaming it on Patreon. The thought never crossed my mind that Alabama would or should change quarterbacks. But since the game has ended, every single talking head, I'm talking about even the big ones, the so-called professional ones on TV, on ESPN, on SEC Network, the big-time podcasters, literally everybody has said that same thing, K-Star, that they were convinced, especially after Milroe threw that second interception, that Saban was going to make a quarterback change. It never crossed my mind while I was watching the game that would happen, but apparently I'm the only one who wasn't thinking that, because I've heard everybody say that. You know, I wonder if one of the reasons they didn't change is because Alabama's offensive line was so bad. Right? Like, I think we're all pretty sure that Ty Simpson is a better passer of the football than Jalen Milroe. Right? But Jalen Milroe is obviously way more athletic, mobile, all that kind of stuff. And he was running for his life that entire game. And so I wonder if they said, well, I wonder if the coaches are on the headsets going, we'd love to put Ty Simpson in and let him push the ball downfield, but he's going to get murdered back there. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. The fact that Alabama's offensive line was, you know what? That was the most surprising thing to me. I'm going to be honest. All trolling aside, I fell for the Alabama offensive line lie that y'all told. I bought that hook, line, and sinker. I bought that hook, line, and sinker. I was never K-Star, you know, you're around enough to know I was never in on your running backs. I wasn't a believer in the running back situation. But I thought that offensive line was going to be the real deal. And they're not. They're borderline bad. And it's not just one or the other. Georgia has struggled in run blocking early this season, but the pass protection has been amazing. And I know we haven't played a team as good as Texas, but Alabama can't run block or pass block. I mean, Alabama's offensive line honestly just looks bad. I fell for that lie. I bought that hook, line, and sinker. I bought that lie. I bought into the defensive lie, too. I thought Alabama's defense would be the strength of the team. I bought into the secondary lie. I bought into the secondary lie, too, that Alabama would have the best secondary in football. That was a lie. They don't. They don't even have the best secondary in the SEC. I bought into that lie, too. So some things I was right about with Bama. Well, everything I questioned about Bama, I was right on. And everything I thought about Bama that was going to be good, I was wrong on. It's not good for Bama. Bama will bounce back from this. I've been hearing Bama's bouncing back since the minute we blew y'all out in the national championship game in 2021. And you're still bouncing, I guess. We couldn't do diddly poo on offense, couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. Well, you did try to run the ball. You're just not any good at it. I mean, you averaged 3 yards per carry. And I was right about the running backs. Jace McClellan, I told you that there's 50 Jace McClellans in college football, and there is. And the guy behind him with the pacifier, I've said enough about him. I don't have anything else to say about the pacifier guy. Justice Haynes is on a milk carton, so that's fine. Saban looked as crimson as his shirt. Another loss for the Alabama man. A lot of bad play calling, too, in my opinion. You mean Tommy Rees ain't the answer, Bo Hunting? Sark was calling the game of his life. Sark's the best offensive coordinator Nick Saban's ever had. He's better than Lane Kiffin. That's just a fact. Now, we'll see. 10 years down the road, we can look back and judge Sark as a head coach. I don't know how that's going to go, but that's up for debate still, I guess. But Sarkisian's the best offensive coordinator Saban's ever had. Penalties got to be at the top of the list of most frustrating things. Yeah, because it was an issue all last season, so you know that was something that was harped on in the offseason. And it looked like in the first game that had been cleaned up. You know, Bama had 2 penalties in the first game, but penalty bug injury got him, or not injury, penalty bug got him again Saturday. 10 penalties for, almost 100 yards? Who has the best defense in the SEC? So Georgia's going to have the best defense in the SEC. It was going to either be Georgia or Bama. And from what I've seen so far, it's going to be Georgia. Best offense probably be Tennessee again. Tennessee people are overreacting to the Austin Peay thing, I think. Tyke Smith has been great for us this year. Georgia's got 3 safeties that would start on any team in the country, period. Malachi Starks would start at safety on every single team in the country. So would Javon Bullard. And so would Tyke Smith. Well, I call them safeties. I know Tyke Smith plays the star position. That's basically a third safety. But those 3 are unbelievable. They're all three NFL players, all 3 of them. Maybe I'll look the stats up in a minute. I don't know how I haven't looked for this past week, but in week 1, Georgia's 4 leading tacklers were all safeties. Malachi Starks, Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith, and Dan Jackson. Bama will win 10 straight, says Jarvis. Winning 10 straight is not going to get Bama anything at all. They have to win 11 straight, and they're not. Bama's not winning 11 straight. Bama's not making the playoffs this year. There's nothing anybody saw from Alabama on Saturday that makes them think they're a playoff team. They'll slip up somewhere. I mean, they're not a terrible team, but they're definitely gonna lose to either Texas A&M, Tennessee, or LSU. They're 100% losing at least one of those 3 games. Now, they can lose one of those 3 games and still make the SEC title game because Texas is a non-conference loss. But Bama's ceiling is 2 losses. They're either going to be 10-2 or 9-3. Munden was the leading tackler this weekend, says UJ Big Daddy. That's actually like that. I prefer that. I'd rather the inside linebackers be the leading tacklers. So that's good. Is this the best secondary UJ has had overall? You know, that I'm not sure about. I love the safeties. I don't think I think we've had better corners than we have now. I know we've had better corners. What year was it when we had, was it Tyson Campbell and Eric Stokes we had playing corner at the same time? Or was it Keely Ringo and Eric Stokes we had playing corner at the same? Those 2, when we had, I forget which 2 it was. Stokes and Campbell is probably the best corner duo we've had. Lassiter is our number 1 corner. I don't think Kamari Lassiter is on the level of any of our other number 1 corners that we've had over the last 4 or 5 years. Like, I don't think Lassiter is as good as Ringo, Stokes, or Campbell. And Lassiter's our best corner. DeAndre Baker, I'm leaving him out too. But I don't think Lassiter is quite as good as what we're used to having as a number one corner. Are you concerned about the UJ run game? Dylan Bell is the best running back. Yeah, and he's not even a running back. He's a wide receiver. But I would keep Dylan Bell at running back. We don't need 13 different people caught passes for Georgia on Saturday. We don't need that. How do you develop chemistry with 13 wide receivers? You can't. You don't. If Georgia wins the SEC or makes the playoffs or wins a national title this year, it's not going to be because of the running backs. They're just the running backs ain't it this year at Georgia. So that's why I got so frustrated during the game on Saturday. If you're going to play Carson Beck, then let Carson Beck do what best suits Carson Beck. Spread the field out, let him throw the ball. I mean, the majority of Georgia's offensive talent is at the wide receiver position, not the running back position. Spread it out and let Carson Beck throw it. It's not that hard to be as good as, it's not that hard to be as good as a second round pick in the NFL draft or whatever he was. Keely Ringo's an elite corner. Guy gave up like 2 touchdown passes, or one or two touchdown passes in his entire career. Running backs can be a great asset to a passing quarterback, but it keeps defense honest. Georgia's running backs are good enough to do that. UJ is carrying the SEC as far as a title. Without them, some other conferences will win this year. Some other conference will win this year. Yeah, well, look, the SEC is not going to win the national title every single year. And this might be the year they don't do it. I don't know, but it's got to come to an end at some point. I think Georgia's got just as good of a chance to win a national title this year as any one other team in the country does. But, it's going to be, it's going to be hard. Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Oregon in the playoffs. I had 3 of those. I had Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Southern Cal. But I like your Oregon pick too. All 4 of my playoff teams right now are still looking pretty good. Yours too. College football is becoming an episode of Stranger Things. Dylan Bell might be our best running back. Yeah, we were just talking about that. I mean, I like Dylan Bell, but, we've got 19 wide receivers. So, yeah, I'm with you. Move Dylan Bell to running back. Can we pick like 5? What I would like to do is pick 5 wide receivers. Pick 5. We don't need 13. Maybe you need 13 on the roster. You don't need 13 people catching passes in a game. Somebody's better than somebody else. There's got to be 5 wide receivers that, okay, these are our 5 wide receivers. And I know Ladd McConkey hasn't played yet, but still. What I would like to see is at least 50% of the offensive snaps. This is who I would like to see on the field for at least half of the offensive snaps. Then maybe rotate the other half. I'd like to see Ladd McConkey, Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint, and Arian Smith with 1 tight end and 1 running back. 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. And then maybe you swap Ladd McConkey and Dominic Lovett in and out. Maybe you swap Marcus Rosemy, Jack Saint, and Ra Smith in and out. And then pick somebody to swap in and out with Arian Smith. You know, go with 6 wide receivers, rotate those 6 in and out of the game. Rotate Brock Bowers and Oscar Delp in and out of the game. Roderick Robinson running the ball between the tackles. Dylan Bell running the ball outside and the 3rd down back. Kendall Milton, I've seen about enough. I love Kendall Milton. Kendall Milton reminds me a lot of Zamir White in that he had a ton of potential coming out of high school. The hype was real, I think. The talent is there. But injuries have just derailed him. And he's just not, he's not. I promise you, I know as Georgia fans, we love every single player. I get that. I promise you right now, there ain't a fan of another team anywhere in college football, or a defensive coordinator for that matter, that's sitting around trying to figure out how to stop Kendall Milton. It's not happening. I didn't see Saban's post-game press conference. Muse is great, though. Yeah, he's a great kick returner. Can we talk about Mel Tucker for a second? Now, first of all, before you even talk about any of this kind of stuff, you have to say the whole thing about, sexual assault is serious. I don't condone sexual assault. It's wrong. You shouldn't do it. Whether it's in the workplace or anywhere else, it's just completely fucking wrong. It should never happen. It should never be done. How hard is it to hang the fucking phone up? How hard is that? Now, I'm willing to be educated. I don't understand for the life of me how you can sexually assault someone over the phone. You're not in any danger at all. You can easily hang up the phone. Sexual assault, sexual harassment, whatever. How can you not just hang up the fucking phone? I'm not saying what Mel Tucker did was right. He's married. He shouldn't be doing that. Whatever. So, but there's a difference between somebody doing something wrong and somebody doing something illegal. It's wrong to cheat on your wife. It's not illegal. Why couldn't that lady just hang the phone up? She didn't have to stay on the phone and listen to Mel Tucker masturbate. She didn't have to do that. She chose to do that. She did not have to stay on the phone and listen to Mel Tucker masturbate. She easily could have hung up the phone. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. And again, sexual assault and sexual harassment is a serious problem. I don't condone it. It should never happen. And it's way more important than football. But with that being said, you can't pretend that this doesn't have a football side to it. Michigan State is locked into the worst contract in the history of college football with Mel Tucker. So now that this story is out, regardless of whether the story is true, false, partly true, partly false, whether it actually rises to the level of being a crime or not, Michigan State should fire Mel Tucker for the good of the football program. Again, I don't know whether Mel Tucker did anything criminal. I don't know. It would have to be explained to me in a legal sense how it is someone can't hang up the phone to avoid a crime being committed upon them. But even if it's not, I think Michigan State would be within their rights. There's usually language in a contract about moral turpitude and shit like that. And so at the very least, what Mel Tucker did could be considered morally wrong. You know, he's married. That's number one. So he shouldn't be doing that with another woman. Number two, it was an employee of the school. You know, so there's no, you can't have the fraternization deal. Michigan State should, so this is going to save Michigan State almost $100 million. Just fire him. He's not a good head coach. He shouldn't have been given the job at Michigan State to start with. And I'm a Mel Tucker fan. I loved Mel Tucker at Georgia, and I wanted him to do well, but he didn't. He didn't do well. He was at, where was he at? Colorado? Wasn't he at Colorado? Was it Colorado or Colorado State? I think it was Colorado. He wasn't any good there. And then Michigan State hires him. He has one good year because of a generational talent at running back that he didn't even recruit. He got him out of the portal. And they give the guy a $100 million contract. It's the dumbest contract in the history of college football. It's infinitely worse than the Jimbo Fisher contract. At least if you're Texas A&M, you can go, well, we got tricked. He won a national title at Florida State. He won 90% of his games at Florida State. At least you can blame it on that. Like the Michigan State Mel Tucker thing. Like why in the hell would you give him $100 million? So they got to fire him and get out of that contract, because they don't have to pay the buyout. If they fire him over this, there won't be a buyout. The same way Tennessee doesn't have to pay Jeremy Pruitt a buyout. It's not like Mel Tucker had that one good year where he won 11 games and then went back to winning 8-9 games a year. No, the guy can't make a bowl game. I mean, the guy winning 4 or 5 games, 6 games a year. I mean, you got to get rid of him now while you got the chance. So from just the football side of it, it's a blessing for Michigan State, I think. I think it's a huge blessing for Michigan State from a purely football point of view, which, again, for the second time, pales in comparison to the importance of workplace harassment or sexual harassment or whatever it was that he's accused of doing. But you can't just ignore the football side of the story either. So, I mean, hell, this is what Auburn tried to do to Brian Harsin. This is the exact same thing the Auburn boosters tried to do to Brian Harsin. So, I don't know what's the actual deal with Mel Tucker. Has he been fired or suspended without pay or whatever it is? He'll never coach another game at Michigan State. He'll never attend another practice at Michigan. His time at Michigan State is over. I don't whether he's officially been fired yet or not. I don't know, but he's fired. He's done there. He can forget it. His time there is over. His time there is over. So, and again, I don't know the details other than what I read yesterday and this morning, but obviously what he did was not right. He's a married man. Shouldn't be doing that on the phone. The lady worked for Michigan State. Shouldn't be doing that with a coworker, even if you're not married. But as far as like this rising to the level of a crime, like is sort of being portrayed, I don't understand why the lady couldn't just hang up the phone. Again, maybe there's some part of the story I'm missing or don't know. I try to believe people when these accusations are made, or at least give them the benefit of the doubt, or at least be open-minded enough to hear them out and all that. I don't want to be one of these people that just dismisses a sexual harassment or a sexual assault claim out of hand. Like, I don't want to, I feel like I do believe and buy into the to the narrative that's been around for several years about, like, I do think it's hard for a woman to come forward when something like this happens to them. I don't know the numbers or the statistics, but you hear it all the time that, like, sexual harassment and sexual assault are like the most underreported crimes in the country, you know, because people are afraid to come forward. They don't want to lose their job. They don't want to get fired. They don't want the embarrassment. They don't want the humiliation. They don't want what happened to them to become public knowledge. They're afraid they won't be believed, whatever the case. Like, I do believe that's true in a lot of cases. And so when someone comes forward with these types of claims and allegations, like, I do believe they should be taken seriously. They should be fully investigated. I totally believe in that. But in this particular case, from what little I've read so far, I do need somebody to explain to me why it is that this lady couldn't just hang up the phone. This isn't a boss calling his secretary into the office, locking the door, and then slapping her on the ass and grabbing her titties. That's not what this is. This is a phone call. Mel Tucker's out of town in Florida, in a hotel room, I would imagine, has a phone call with this lady. According to Mel Tucker, they engage in consensual phone sex. Mel Tucker doesn't deny any of this happened. Mel Tucker admits all this happened. Yes, it's true. He just denies it was somehow against her will. Like, according to Mel Tucker, she was an active participant in this phone sex. She says, no, I was not an active. I don't know what her whole, did she call him up to ask about the weather? And he goes, yeah, the weather's good. Now let me pull my dick out and start beating off. I don't know. But what stopped her from just hanging up the phone? I mean, again, maybe there is a reason and an explanation or something beyond what I'm seeing. And if there is, I'm willing to be told about that or to learn about that or whatever. I don't want this to come off as bashing her. I'm not at all. I'm just trying to understand how it is. I don't know. Like, the quotes for her were like, I didn't know what to do. I just froze. And then the investigators are like, well, did you consider just hanging up the phone? And she was like, I didn't even think about that at the time. Like, later, I was like, yeah, why didn't I just hang up the phone? But at the time, I didn't even think about that at the time. I just froze. You froze with the phone to your ear? Like, can't you, you could even just drop the phone on the couch and walk away. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand. I mean, look, when they call me about the car warranty, that's harassment. But I don't sit there and listen to it for an hour. I hang up. When they call, every single time they call me about the phone, about the car warranty, the extended car warranty, every single time that's harassment. But I don't sit there and listen to it for an hour. Will says it was consensual. She's playing the victim card for the money. I don't know about that. Like I said, I don't know. But I don't even if it was sexual harassment, why can't you hang up the phone? I don't know. But like I said, maybe there's something I'm not getting. I don't know. I don't know. Is Jarvis Jones returning to the staff this week? Kirby said yeah. He was asked about it in the post-game press conference, and he said he'll be back this week. Good morning, Lou. Oh, I read that already. Thank you. Thank you, Roy and Jordan. Thank you all again for the super chats this morning. I appreciate that. So, I don't know. All right, there's a handful of Florida fans in here. So, give me a, and this is pointless to do, but I'm asking for non-troll answers here. I'm legitimately curious about non-troll answers. So, Florida, I want the Florida fans to tell me, what percentage chance do you give Florida of beating Tennessee this weekend? And there's going to be somebody that types in 100%. I'm not looking for trolly answers, but it's almost impossible not to get trolly answers around here anymore. But I'm just curious for the Florida people, what percentage chance you give Florida to beat Tennessee? Captain Tripp says 50%, but we'll cover that 7. Ah, shit. I'm banging that Tennessee -7. I'm all over Tennessee -7. As a Tennessee fan, I'm saying 55% chance Florida win. What? Mike gives Florida a 15% chance. Wet Blanket, 33% chance. Walker Dog, 25%. Kirby's Belt, 2. I tell you what I'm interested in finding out this weekend. I know a lot of Tennessee fans have been, well, just not even Tennessee fans, people in general, have been talking a lot about Tennessee's offense, even going back to the offseason. You know, how's Milton going to do compared to Hooker? What about the new wide receiver room? How's the running game going to be? All that kind of stuff. And then when you watch the first 2 Tennessee games against inferior competition, Virginia and Austin Peay, you know, oh, what offense did this? The offense did that. They looked good here. They didn't look good there. I want to see Tennessee's defense against the Florida offense. I know Florida's offense isn't some kind of top 10 offense, but this will be the best offense Tennessee's played. And, you know, Florida's offense wasn't very good last year. And what did they score on Tennessee last year in Neyland? 30-something points? How many points Florida score on Tennessee last year? I want to see if Tennessee's defense is any better than last year. That's what I want to see. They scored 33 last year. Anybody feel like Florida's going to score that on them this year? Anybody think Florida can get to 33 points on Tennessee this year? I'm almost more interested in that than I am even the outcome of the game. How many points does Tennessee give up to Florida? I think Florida's offense is worse than last year's. They scored 33 on Florida last year. I will be surprised if Florida scores more than 21 to 24 points. Mertz being not mobile will hurt him. Does Tennessee have a pass rush? I'm seriously asking. I'm not trolling. I don't. Are there Tennessee fans in here? What's up? How's y'all's pass rush? I think it's going to be something like 23 to 17 Florida. Wow. Bow Hunting says 42 to 17 Vols. That sounds about right. Devin Hayes says we lead in sacks and tackles for loss. Lead what? The SEC? The country? What? Let me see if I can look up some defensive stats. I know it doesn't mean a whole lot after only 2 games, but all right, team sacks. Oh, they lead the country. 5.5 sacks a game. right up there with Nebraska. Look at this. Long live the 90s. Long live the 90s. Look at this. Long live the 90s. Now you look at sacks allowed. Let's see. Sacks allowed. Okay. So where's Florida on the sacks allowed list? So lots of teams have given up 0 sacks. Georgia has given up 1 sack. Where's Florida? Uh-oh, Florida. Oh, yikes. Florida's 95th in sacks allowed. Tennessee is first in getting sacks. That doesn't sound good, does it? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have it on the screen. Here's Florida. They're 95th in sacks allowed. Florida 95th in sacks allowed. Tennessee first in team sacks. That sounds like a problem for Florida. That's not good for Florida and Mertz. Doesn't look good, does it? Doesn't look good. Oh, let me take this. This scroll on the bottom of the screen is wrong. Pay no attention to that. That's last week's. I don't know what this week's is going to be yet. Hold on. Where is that? Let's get rid of that. I don't know what the streaming schedule will be this week yet. Yes, the SEC is down this year. Through the first 2 weeks. The problem is now we're getting into conference play. There's not going to be anything the SEC can do now to change perception. Nothing until the postseason. Because the SEC playing each other isn't going to do anything to prove they're better or worse than other conferences. Nothing. So the SEC, it's over for the SEC until potentially the postseason as far as trying to argue that they're the best conference. There's nothing the SEC can do to establish itself as the best conference this season until the postseason. It's over. They lost too many big non-con games in the first 2-3 weeks of the year. There's nothing they can do now at this point. There's nothing they can do. If Clemson gets it turned around and Miami has a 9-win season, then the ACC may end up having an argument as best conference at the end of the year, maybe. Right now, I think the Pac-12 probably has the best argument, argument for best conference. The Big Ten is going to be worth keeping an eye on. I mean, look, the Big Ten's got 3 teams that are legitimate top 10 teams. 2 of them could be playoff teams. But the problem in the Big Ten is that outside of that 3, they might not even have another ranked team at the end of the year. Like last year, the Big 3 ended up being the only ranked teams in the Big Ten, right? Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan are all really, really good. but the drop off from 3 to 4 is a cliff, or it was last year. I mean, Purdue won the West with 4 or 5 losses, got blown out by LSU in the bowl game. Graham Mertz will get his 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Is it going to take him 50 attempts like it did against Utah? Because if it's 50 attempts, 300 yards, he's going to lose to Tennessee for sure. "50 attempts, 300 yards is not good." Graham Mertz did not play good against Utah. The people running around saying it's not Graham Mertz's fault, he threw for 300 yards. He had 50 attempts. 50 attempts, he should be 500 yards. 30 attempts should get you 300 yards. 30 attempts should equal 300 yards. You basically should have 100 yards for every 10 attempts. That's what's good. You know, if your quarterback is 8 of 10 in a game, he should have 100 yards. If he's 17 of 20, he should have 200 yards. If he's 26 of 30, he should have 300 yards. If he's 34 of 40, he should have 400 yards. At 50 attempts, 300 yards against Utah is not good. Top 10 QB in the country? Yeah. I mean, he looked like he looked back at the end of 2021. The Tyler Van Dyke that I saw Saturday is the Tyler Van Dyke I thought I was going to see last year when I picked Miami to go 10-2. I mean, and it just didn't happen. Now, we can blame that on new coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, injuries. Like, there's lots of things you can point to blame that aren't, well, Tyler Van Dyke just sucks. He obviously doesn't suck. I mean, Tyler Van Dyke played Saturday like he played the last 6 games in 2021. The way Tyler Van Dyke played on Saturday is why Tyler Van Dyke was a top 4 Heisman candidate entering the 2022 season. All right, Bo Hutton, good to see you, buddy. Graham Mertz was 14 of 17 for 193 versus McNeese State. I haven't looked that up, but if that's true, then that's what you should be. Close to 20 attempts should be close to 200 yards. So that's good. But it's McNeese State. You know, if he's 14 of 17 for 193 against Tennessee, they might have a chance to win. TVD trademark Tyler Van Dyke. I saw his parents. They showed a shot of his parents during the game, and they had on his jersey, but it said Van Dyke's on the back. You know what's weird to me? Florida fans have more confidence in Florida winning the game this weekend than Tennessee fans do of Tennessee winning. Tennessee fans are having a hard time forgetting the last 15 years. I don't blame them. I went down this road with Florida, too. When we first started beating Florida like a drum, I would still get nervous every year before the Florida game because they just beat us so many times prior to that. But outside of Tennessee fans, the rest of the college football world expects Tennessee to go down there and put a beating on Florida, just based on the talent level of the two teams. I haven't looked at the spread, but somebody else this morning said it was 7 points. It was 7 in the offseason. So, but I'm all over Tennessee -7 in that one. All over it. Yeah, Slim. Well, the first 10 minutes of that game couldn't have been any worse for Miami. The first 10 minutes of that game for Miami were horrendous. Now, Florida beating Tennessee, that's one of the funniest possibilities for this weekend. I'd be absolutely hilarious if Florida beat Tennessee. Vic went 3-0 and I went 1-2. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Let's look that up. Let me check that. Y'all can't beat Vic, huh? All right, here we go. Outpick Vic, week 2. Vic had Notre Dame -7.5. That was a winner. Utah -7.5. That was a loser, I think. What Utah end up? How much did Utah end up winning by? And then he had Oregon -6.5. That was a winner. So I know he won 2. How much did Utah end up winning by? I think I've got it written down somewhere. No. They won by 7. Oh, so he barely missed that one. So yeah, Vic hit 2 out of 3. Hoghead had Bama -7.5. That was a loser. Auburn -6.5. That was a loser. And Ole Miss -7.5. That was a winner. So yeah, Vic got 2 right. Hoghead got 1 right. So far, y'all are 0 for 2 on Outpick Vic. We'll give somebody else a try Thursday when Vic comes on again. Yeah, I think the Georgia-South Carolina game. You want to look at the schedule? We'll look at the schedule. But I think that's the 3:30 game. Nothing worth watching on Thursday or Friday. Oh, that's the wrong week. Nothing worth watching on Thursday and Friday. I know I checked that yesterday. Bethune-Cookman at Miami, Navy at Memphis, Virginia at Maryland, Army at UTSA, Utah State at Air Force. So I won't be streaming any of these games on Thursday or Friday. Thursday, we'll just do the regular call-in show at 9. All right, Saturday's games. The early slate. Florida State at Boston College, Penn State at Illinois, LSU at Mississippi State. That could be a good one. That could be a good game there. Kansas State at Missouri. That could be a good game. I think Kansas State beats them. Man, can Missouri save the SEC and win that game? I don't think so. I'm buying Kansas State. Louisville at Indiana. That's about it for the noon games. Afternoon games, Central Michigan at Notre Dame, 2:30 on Peacock. Peacock. South Carolina at Georgia, 3:30 on CBS. So the first SEC on CBS game of the year, South Carolina at Georgia. Alabama at South Florida. Oklahoma at Tulsa. San Diego State at Oregon State. Minnesota at North Carolina. That's a weird game, week 3 there, isn't it? It's an odd game. Northwestern at Duke. Another strange one. Virginia Tech at Rutgers. East Carolina at App State. That might be a good game. Ohio State hosts Western Kentucky. Tune-up game for the Notre Dame game coming up the following week. Ohio State and Notre Dame not this week, but next week. Texas A&M looks to rebound at home against Louisiana Monroe. Washington at Michigan State. Take Washington, huge. Take Washington. Take it now. Line go way up. The line's probably going to go way up with Mel Tucker gone and all the controversy. Tennessee at Florida, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Wow, not a lot of good games at night, huh? Georgia Tech at Ole Miss, 7:30. That could be interesting. Doesn't Ole Miss play Alabama after this? You think Georgia Tech can go in there and sneak out a win? Trap game here. Trap game. Trap game. You know what? I might take Georgia Tech in the points in that one. BYU at Arkansas. Pitt at West Virginia. What a shame. Nobody's going to watch this game. Rivalry game. Two teams hate each other. The fans hate each other. No one's watching this. West Virginia is one of the worst teams in the Power 5. Pitt just got beat by Cincinnati. Texas hosts Wyoming. Oregon hosts Hawaii. Clemson hosts Florida Atlantic. TCU at Houston. Colorado State at Colorado. Another one nobody's going to watch. College Game Day trying to jump on the Deion Sanders train. College Game Day's in Colorado next week for no fucking reason at all. Why? Well, I know why they're doing it. College Game Day is going to go to Notre Dame and Ohio State next week. If they really wanted to go to a Colorado game, they should go to the Colorado-Oregon game, which is also next week. But they can't because I'm sure they're going to go to Notre Dame, Ohio State. So they're going to Colorado this week just so they can get some of that Deion Sanders juice. But this is a terrible game. People were picking Colorado to win this game, even in the offseason, before they knew Colorado was any good. They were still picking Colorado to win this game. Colorado blow these people out. I don't know why Game Day's only going there to leech off of the Deion Sanders hype. That's literally the only reason. So there you go. Let me check the Patreon poll. I put the Patreon poll up yesterday. I usually let it run till Wednesday, so this might not be the final results here. Well, it's definitely not the final results, but the results may change. But as of right now, 54% of the people are choosing prime time, which that's Tennessee, Florida, right? Yeah, that's Tennessee at Florida. So 50% of the people are choosing that. 54%. 43% afternoon. That would be Georgia, South Carolina. 3% are picking noon. So it's not going to be noon. So the Patreon stream will either be at 3:30 or 7. depending on how the poll shakes out the next couple of days. Over under 6 sacks for UGA. I'll take under 6 sacks for any team in any game ever played that you want to bet on or whatever. So yeah, I'll take the under. Where's the guy that? Who's the Alabama guy that bet me that Quinn Ewers would throw 2 interceptions? Where's that guy at? Because didn't Quinn Ewers throw 0 interceptions while Mildew threw 2? Ryan S. Yeah, Ryan S. bet me $25 that Quinn Ewers would throw 2 interceptions. That didn't work out. I'm not sold on Tennessee going to the swamp and winning. I've seen a few Tennessee teams better than Florida go down there and lose over the last 15 years. Yeah, me too. Oh, I've seen, yeah. Yeah, me too. I agree with the second part. The first part, I'm all in on Tennessee beating Florida. I have been since February. There's no way I'm changing my tune now. I'm just going to have to be wrong if that's what happens. But there's just no way I'm changing my tune after beating that drum since February. I'm all over Tennessee in that one. Uncle Lou, what service do you use or recommend to watch all the games on TV? In my opinion, the absolute best and cheapest way to watch the most amount of games possible is YouTube TV with an ESPN Plus subscription at $10 a month. So YouTube TV, I don't know. I think it's about $65 a month for YouTube TV. And if you then add ESPN Plus to that, I think that's the way to get the most amount of games possible for the lowest cost. So with YouTube TV, you're going to get all of the ESPN. So you're going to get, you get ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. So you get the 4 major channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. You get ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, and ESPNU. You get the SEC network, the ACC network, and the Big Ten network. You do not get the Pac-12 network. You get FS1, FS2, CBS Sports Network. You literally get all of the broadcast channels that show football games with the exception of the Pac-12 network. If you then add ESPN Plus to that, then you get all of the ESPN games that don't come on TV. Now, usually they're not great games, but like if you're a Georgia fan, right, and you wanted to watch them play UT Martin last week, that was on ESPN Plus. South Carolina and Furman, I think, was on ESPN Plus this weekend. There's 50 games a week on ESPN Plus. I think that's the best way to do it. Now, I get ESPN Plus for free through Verizon. I don't know exactly how that works. If you have Verizon, though, it's worth calling them and asking them. So I get ESPN Plus for free just because I have Verizon. So I pay a total of $65 a month. Whatever it costs for YouTube TV, I think it's $65 a month. So for $65 a month, I get YouTube TV and ESPN Plus. Yeah, but Hulu is garbage. Hulu's just a terrible service. Hulu is garbage. YouTube TV is the way to go over Hulu, in my opinion. So, I mean, do what you want to do, but you asked for my opinion. My opinion, YouTube TV plus a subscription to ESPN Plus, whether it's one you have to pay for $9. If you have to pay for the ESPN Plus subscription, then your total monthly cost would be about $75. $65 for YouTube TV, $10 for ESPN Plus. I don't have to pay for the ESPN Plus because I get it for free through my Verizon cell phone service. So if you have Verizon cell phone service, it's worth calling Verizon and asking them if you're eligible for the free ESPN. I get ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all for free through Verizon. What's up, Brett? Seem to have a worse experience with YouTube TV. I don't ever have a problem with YouTube. Never. I've had it 3 years. I've never had a single problem. Now, here's a difference, too, between Hulu and YouTube TV for those of you that have multiple TV setups. With Hulu, you can only be logged into Hulu Live on 2 different TVs at the same time. With YouTube TV, you can be logged into YouTube TV on 3 different TVs at the same time. So if you have a 3 TV setup, YouTube TV is your only option. If you have a 2 TV setup, then you could go with Hulu, or a 1 or a 2. So YouTube TV, 3 different people can be watching 3 different things on 3 different TVs. With Hulu, it's only 2. YouTube doesn't black out games. Cable providers don't black out games. That's a decision that's made by the network. So if a game is blacked out on YouTube TV, it's blacked out everywhere. It's blacked out on Hulu TV. It's blacked out on Comcast Cable. It's blacked out on Sirius or whatever the satellite companies are. Blackouts are determined by the network, not the cable provider. If a game is blacked out on YouTube, it's blacked out everywhere. Now, one thing you can do if you do have Hulu TV and you have 3 TVs, you can take one of your TVs and run an HD antenna to it, and then on that 3rd TV, you'll get ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. You won't have Hulu cable channels on it. You'll just have the 4 broadcast channels through an HD antenna on the 3rd TV. And then your other 2 TVs, you could log into your Hulu account and watch 2 different games at the same time. With YouTube TV, you can hook all 3 TVs up to your YouTube account at the same time and watch 3 different games on 3 different TVs at the same time. Do you think this is the last chance for a three-peat? I think it gets increasingly harder to win national titles the more teams you allow into a playoff because there's more games to play and more teams involved. So yeah, I don't think it can never be done, but it does get increasingly harder. Like, I think it was easier for Minnesota to win 3 national titles in a row in the 30s than it was for anybody to win 3 national titles in a row in the 90s when we had the BCS. I now think it's harder to win 3 national titles in a row under the playoffs than it was in the BCS. And I think it's going to be harder to win a national title 3 years in a row with a 12-team playoff than it is currently. I think it gets increasingly harder the more teams you allow into the postseason because there's more games. You have to win more games, and there's more teams involved. It's going to become almost a basketball now where it's not always the best team that wins, but just the hottest team at the right time. Well, even in basketball, you see some really low seeds in basketball win in the first or second round, but usually by the time you get to the Final Four, it's 4 of the best teams usually that are left. But I mean, the argument about the hottest team winning it, not the best team, I mean, that can be applied to any sport on earth with a playoff. You know, I mean, how many times does the Major League Baseball team with the best regular season record win the World Series? It's not 100% of the time. It's some number less than 100%. Same with the NBA. Or the NFL. Braves currently have the best record. I knew they were good. I didn't know they had the best record. I don't watch baseball. Every once in a while, I'll watch some postseason baseball, but baseball is probably the sport I'll watch the least out of all the major sports. Yep. Yep. Been a Bama fan since 1991. I've been through it all. Yeah. Fun fact, in college baseball, the number 1 seed has not won the College World Series in over 20 years. What about Joe Burrow, though? Became the highest paid NFL player a week ago and then gets benched for performance yesterday. What? Joe Burrow got benched yesterday? I watched, how much? You know what? I watched maybe 10 minutes of the Falcons game yesterday. I was so tired Saturday. I apologize for not getting that Your Season Is Over video out until so late. I probably didn't go to sleep until 2:30 Saturday night. And my plan was to sleep in on Sunday, get up, and immediately start on the Your Season Is Over video. But for some reason, I woke up at 7:15 in the morning. So I had less than 5 hours of sleep. And I got up, made a cup of coffee, went in the living room, turned on the TV, started watching. I told you I record SEC final and college football final. So I got up at 7:15, made a cup of coffee, went in the den, turned on SEC final, watched about half of that, took a shower, got dressed. All this time, I'm planning on starting the Your Season Is Over video because this is my routine for the Your Season Is Over video. I get up, I watch college football final, I watch college game day final, and then I do the Your Season Is Over video. So watched about half of SEC final, took a shower, got dressed, made another cup of coffee, back in the den, watched the second half of SEC final, turned on college football final, and fell asleep on the couch for like 3 hours. Got up, it was lunchtime, ate lunch, watched the rest of college football final. By that time, it was after 1 o'clock. And then so by the time I actually started making notes for the Your Season Is Over video, it was like 1:30. So it takes me about an hour to make the notes. Takes me about an hour to film the intro. And then I filmed the talking portion of Your Season Is Over. And the talking portion was like 58 minutes long. So that's another hour just to film it. So by then it's 3:30 and I've filmed it all, but now I got to sit down, load it all up on the computer, edit it, export it, and then upload it to YouTube. That takes another hour. So it was basically 6 o'clock by the time I started uploading the video. So that's on me. I got up with every intention of doing it, but because I only got 5 hours of sleep, I gave out. And then BA does her show from 5 to 7. So I try not to do the Your Season Is Over video between 5 and 7 because I don't want to do it while she's doing her show. But then Josh Pate comes on at 8. I don't want to do it during Josh Pate's show either. So I try to do ideally, I would like to do the Your Season Is Over video at 3 o'clock every Sunday. That would be, I think, the best way to go about it. And that could have happened had I not fallen asleep a second time on the couch yesterday. But like I said, I stayed up too late watching those SEC first Pac-12 games, Auburn and Cal, which I don't even know why I watched that. It was a boring fucking game, 14-10. Auburn's offense doesn't exist. I don't even know why I watched it, but so I was just up too late, and then I didn't set an alarm. My plan, even though I was up late, my plan was just to sleep in, still get like 7 hours of sleep, and get up at like 9:30 or 10. But I woke up at 7:15, so I got up, and then I just gave, 2-3 hours later, I gave out, back asleep again on the couch. JP talk about Texas for almost 20 minutes of his show. Yeah. Well, I don't blame him. I mean, that's the hot topic. That's the hot topic. He took Alabama and laid the points. What a dummy he is. I took Texas in the points. Let's see. What games did I get right from this past weekend? Texas and Bama. I got that one right. What were the other big games? Miami, Texas A&M. I got that one wrong. I was on Texas A&M, lay the points. I got that one wrong. I was on Oregon minus the points. I got that one right. I was on Utah minus the points. I got that one wrong. Well, let me go back, look at my notes I made when I did the prediction videos. Let's see if I can find them. Let's see. Ole Miss was favored by 7.5. I took Tulane. I got that wrong, but I didn't know their quarterback wasn't playing. But I did get that wrong. Got Texas A&M wrong. I took Iowa minus 4.5 against Iowa State. No, I didn't. I took Iowa State. So I got that one wrong. Washington was Tulsa at Washington. Washington favored by 35. I took Tulsa. I know Washington won big, but let me see what the score was. Washington and Tulsa. Washington won by 33. Damn, I got that one wrong. No, I got that one right. Washington won by 33. I had Tulsa plus 35. So I got that one right. Miracle? All right. Cincinnati at Pitt. Pitt was favored by 7. I took Cincinnati. They won outright. So I got that one right. Oregon at Texas Tech. Oregon by 6.5. I took Oregon. I got that one right. Wisconsin at Washington State. I took Washington State and the points. I got that one right. They won outright. Arizona at Mississippi State. I took Mississippi State -8. What was the score of that one? I might have missed that one. Yeah, Mississippi State won by 7. I had Mississippi State -8, so I lost that one. Stanford versus Southern Cal. I took Southern Cal -29.5, and Southern Cal. I can't get over this. Southern Cal was winning that game 49-0 at halftime against a Power 5 opponent. That's unbelievable. Auburn at Cal. I think I took Auburn in that one, so I missed that one. Auburn was a 6.5-point favorite. They won by 4. Oak State at Arizona State. Oak State -3.5. How'd that one wind up? Where is it? Right there. Oak State, Arizona State. Oak State won by 12, so I got that one right too. So I don't know. I pretty close to 50. I might have been like a little bit over 500. Slim Shady says, I'm not sold on going in the... Oh, I think I've seen that. I reread that one. Thank y'all for the super chats today, by the way. Is Texas good or Bama not good? Come on. Come on. Stop it. You can't tell if Texas is good? Come on. Tennessee's a 7-point favorite over Florida. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm all over Tennessee in that one. Vic says Texas no good, Bama bad. Vic, you're retarded. Who's the second best team in the ACC? Is it Duke? Looks like Miami right now. Miami, North Carolina. Miami, North Carolina, Duke. Louisville? I can't I can't buy Louisville. I can't buy Louisville. Yeah, well, I agree with you. I don't you know, people who run around going the SEC West is better than the SEC East. It's the same people that run around going Notre Dame don't play nobody. It's like it's like a 10-year-old narrative that people just can't let go of. Notre Dame has a legitimate schedule this year. There are years in the past where Notre Dame did not play a tough schedule. This isn't one of those years. But people just say it because they're just used to saying it. That's how it is with the people that run around saying the SEC East is garbage. The SEC West is the only It's just wrong. I mean, the top 2 teams in the East last year were better than any team in the West. And the SEC West had the worst team in the conference, Texas A&M. So it's just a lazy narrative that people just recite it because they're just used to hearing it, and it wasn't true last year, and it's not true this year. I mean, the SEC championship game was a blowout. Tennessee, who came in second in the East, also blew out the SEC West champion and beat the second best team in the SEC West. South Carolina won 8 or 9 games. I mean, Ole Miss was the third best team in the West. So, Auburn was horrific. Vandy was better than Auburn and Texas A&M. The worst team in the East was better than Auburn and Texas A&M last year. There's just no argument for the SEC West last year. None. Zero. The SEC East was clearly better last year. But people just run around with the same old tired argument. SEC sucks. SEC West is the only thing. No. There's been years in the past where that was true. Been a lot of years in the past where that was true. But last year wasn't one of them. And so far this year, that's not the case. It's dangerous to think the SEC won't have a good bowl record this year. Well, last year the SEC had a losing record in bowl games, and the SEC fans said bowl games don't matter. Now they're relying on bowl games to somehow prove they're good. I don't understand that argument either. You better be fully supportive of Joe Milton as a starter because there's no second option. I don't want to hear about Nico either. Nico, if Tennessee ends up starting Nico at quarterback this year, it's a wasted year. Tennessee isn't close to being talented enough to play a freshman quarterback and win anything meaningful. Cristobal announced Cam Kitchens was released from the hospital yesterday and is all good. Yeah, that's good. I tried to talk about that yesterday in the Your Season Is Over video, but it seems like no matter how you try to talk about injuries, it tends to come off as insensitive, so I try not to talk a lot about it, but the point I was trying to get across yesterday is that I hope it was just a really bad stinger. Not that that's good. It's not good to have a stinger, but compared to the alternative, like, that would be best case scenario. And then I said anybody that's played football for any amount of time at any level has had a stinger. Now, not as bad as his, right? I've had, I think we've all been, if you've played football for any amount of time, you've gotten hit and couldn't feel your arm. It's happened to me 100 times. One of your arms goes nut, whatever, and then maybe it's 5 seconds later, maybe it's 2 seconds later, maybe it's a minute later. So, but some are way worse, and it can be a couple of minutes. You can't feel your arms or your legs, or you can't move something or whatever. And I'm hoping that's what it was with him, and that it was nothing more than that. That's the point I was trying to get across. But I'm not good at doing that kind of thing, and it just always comes across as being dismissive or whatever. So, but I don't know. I hope the point came across. You know what Tennessee fans are doing with Nico? The same thing Georgia fans did with Jacob Eason in 2016. I'm not saying Nico is Jacob Eason or not Jacob Eason, or even comparing Jacob Eason and Nico as quarterbacks. I'm just saying the when you hear Tennessee fans talk about Nico, it's the way Georgia fans talked about Jacob Eason back in 2016. You know, first 5-star quarterback you've had in forever, and he's the immediate savior. Put him in now. Every time my starter throws an incomplete pass, I want Jacob Eason in, that kind of deal. But 99 out of 100 freshman quarterbacks, no matter what star rating they have, are not any good as a freshman. I hear you, Village. I'll do my best, sir. I'll do my best. I haven't looked at the updated top 25 rankings. Is there anything silly or ridiculous in there that stands out that I need to look at? Honestly, Milton didn't even play bad Saturday. The wide receivers just dropped so many balls in the first half. You know what? I watched the first half of that game because it was funny, but I don't even know what Milton's stats ended up being. Let me look them up. To hear Tennessee fans talk, I'm assuming he had like 200 yards and completed 50% of his passes. Joe Milton. (21 of 33, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Texas at 4 is silly. We don't deserve that yet. So who are you ahead of? Who's at 5? I guess I'll just look. All right, AP poll. Georgia, wow, Florida State. Ohio State dropped 2 spots in the AP poll. Wow. Wow. Georgia 1, Michigan 2. I've had Georgia 1 and Michigan 2 since February. Florida State 3, Texas 4. Florida State 3, Texas 4. That's 3 of my 4. Well, all 4 of my playoff teams are in the top 5 right now. I had Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Southern Cal. I'm surprised Ohio State dropped 2 spots. Is Ohio State man mad about it? Tennessee just can't get into the... Tennessee dropped 2? Oklahoma dropped 2 again. Boy, they're going to be big mad. North Carolina dropped 4. Tennessee dropped 2 spots. I'll do my top 25 today. Quay Walker scored a touchdown yesterday. I did see that too. I didn't watch any of that game, but I told you I watched like 10 minutes of the Falcons game. That was the early game. I was in here doing the Your Season Is Over video later that day, and I went back out in the living room to get something. And the Falcons game had ended, and the Chicago Bears game was on, which they were getting blown out, by the way. Literally right when I walked into the living room, Justin Fields threw an interception to Quay Walker, and Quay Walker returned it for a touchdown. Oh, was Miami in there? I didn't even look. Didn't even notice. Yeah. Yep. Miami at 22. So 4 teams new to the top 25 in the AP poll. Iowa, UCLA, Washington. So how many Pac-12 teams are in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many teams are in the Pac-12? Are there 12 teams in the Pac-12 or 14? I can't remember. 8 of the 12 Pac-12 teams are ranked. That's unbelievable. Yeah, the Pac-12 is the best conference right now, top to bottom. That's unreal. Will Miami make the Uncle Lou top 25? Probably. Probably. I'll have to go back and look at how many of my, how many teams can I move out of my top 25? Because, anytime you move somebody in, you got to move somebody out. So, like, I'll probably move Texas A&M out. I don't remember where I had them ranked, but if I had Texas A&M ranked anywhere 20 to 25, they're getting moved out. And then that would make room for Miami or somebody. So K-Starg was in here earlier. He took his medicine. He took his medicine. So if you look at the top 10, let's see. The SEC's got 2 teams in the top 10, 3 in the top 11. The Pac-12 has 2 teams in the top 10. The Big Ten has 3. The ACC has 1. So how many SEC teams are ranked? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 SEC teams are ranked. 8 Pac-12. What about the ACC? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ACC teams are ranked. 5 SEC teams are ranked. 8 Pac-12. Big Ten. 1, 2, 3. 4 Iowa. 4 Big Ten teams. 4 Big Ten. Was it 4 ACC? Or 3? 1, Miami, Duke, North Carolina, 4. 4 Big Ten, 4 ACC, 5 SEC, 8 Pac-12. What about the Big 12? 1, 2, 2 Big 12. Is that right? No. Texas, 3 Big 12. Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma. Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, all ranked in the Big 12. So 3. 3 Big 12, 4 ACC, 4 Big 10, 5 SEC, 8 Pac-12. And then Notre Dame as an independent. Bama Peanut owes me $100. Great player for sure. You guys got a great one. I could use him. AD is a beast. Yeah, he is. I sure wish Georgia had him still. Can Bama right the ship? Depends what you mean by that. They're not making the playoffs. I don't know what you mean by right the ship. They're not winning their next 11 games in a row. The Bama's got to win 11 games in a row to make the playoffs. You think that's happening? What's up, Nate? Is Third and Nate? Is that Nate the Great? He changes his name. What does Third and Nate mean? Is there a meaning behind that, or he just did it because Third and Nate rhymes with Third Nate? Top 5 SEC QBs through the first 2 weeks. Connor Wegman. This is in no particular order. Connor Wegman, Spencer Rattler, I'd put Carson Beck in the top 5. Joe Milton, top 5. So that's 4. Who am I forgetting about? I haven't watched much Kentucky, so I don't know. How's Devin Leary doing? KJ Jefferson? Yeah, KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson, thank you. Jackson Dart? Yeah, he might be in there too. It's easier to name the ones that definitely aren't in the top 5. Nobody from Auburn. No on Graham Mertz. No on Jalen Milroe. No on A.J. Swan at Vandy. No on Will Rogers at Mississippi State. Leary been pretty basic. Okay. Best conferences for the 2023 college football season: Pac-12, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. I'd probably have the ACC above the Big 12. And I might have the Big 10. I'd probably go Pac-12, Big 10, SEC, ACC, Big 12. I think the Mizzou versus K-State game will be close. Yeah, I'd go with I'd take K-State in that one, but could be an interesting game. I feel like Missouri. No one ever talks about Missouri for one thing. I don't really know much about them. I don't really know how they've looked this year, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I haven't watched 5 minutes of a Missouri game. So I'm going to have to read or do something on that Kansas State-Missouri game before I really make a pick, but my gut tells me Kansas State will win. Who do you want as QB2 for UGA? It really doesn't matter to me. I don't have a problem with the way they're doing it now. Beck, Brock, Gunner. Mizzou struggled with MTSU. Let's look. Let's look. Missouri. They beat Middle Tennessee State 23-19. Brady Cook 14 of 19. What happened to Garcia? Brady Cook, 14 of 19, 204, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Cody Schrader, 84 yards rushing. Luther Burden's good, like really good. Luther Burden's the reason Georgia has Dominic Levitt. Let's see. Defensively, good against the run. Good against the run. They beat South Dakota 35-10 in week 1. Brady Cook 17 of 21. That same running back, 100 yards again. Luther Burden, 96 yards and a touchdown. Good against the run in this game too, so decent run defense, at least through the first 2 weeks. Vic says Luther Burden will transfer. I doubt it, Vic. I doubt it. He's going to lose a lot of money if he transfers. Missouri has a weird NIL law that really benefits in-state kids who agree to play for Missouri. K-State is a good program. It's make or break for Drink at Mizzou, I think. Yeah, you know, Kansas State is kind of turning into the Utah of the Big 12. Very well coached. Never bottoms out. You know, you ain't going to find no 4 and 5 win seasons. Consistently wins 8 games or more. And can compete for conference titles in good years. They're looking more and more like Utah to me with every day that goes by. I like their quarterback, too. Does Kansas State play Texas in the regular season? Let's see. Kansas State. Here's their schedule. At Missouri, home against Central Florida, So they can win this one. They can beat Central Florida. They should win at Oklahoma State. I'd pick them right now at Texas Tech. I'd pick them against TCU. I'd pick them against Houston. On the road at Texas will be tough for sure. Home against Baylor. On the road at Kansas. I mean, that could be a 10-win team there. Kansas State could find themselves back in a Big 12 title game. Could be Kansas State, Texas rematch. We'll see what Oklahoma ends up doing too. That's another team nobody wants to talk about is Oklahoma. Why is no one talking about Penn State? I talked about them yesterday for 5 minutes in the Your Season Is Over video. They're legitimate. They're a problem for anybody they play. At this point, I said this in the video yesterday. At this point, from what I've seen so far, it's going to be a massive disappointment if Penn State doesn't beat one of the two, Michigan or Ohio State, because Penn State looks really, really good. Really good. Yeah, I heard about the Art Briles sighting. Will, you got what you deserve taking Candy into points. Yeah, I didn't bet that game, but I have the bet on Vandy's win total. So I don't need to bet their individual games. But I need them to win 2 more games, though. Let's look at it. Ah, shit, hit the wrong button. Vandy. There you are. All right. Can they win on the road at UNLV? Can Vandy beat UNLV? They have to. If they don't beat UNLV, I'm screwed, most likely. So look, what has UNLV done? They lost 35-7 to Michigan. Yeah, I need them to win that game. I need them to beat UNLV. And then if they beat UNLV, they have to win one of these 8 games. So could they beat Kentucky? It's possible. Mizzou, possible. Florida, possible. Georgia, no. Ole Miss, no. Auburn, possible. South Carolina, maybe. Tennessee, no. I don't know. If they beat UNLV, I'm going to feel pretty good. If Vandy beats UNLV, I'm going to feel pretty good about my Vandy over 3.5. Penn State needs to figure out a way to stop Michigan's run game. Yeah, Michigan ran for 300 on them last year. They can't do that again. And I like Penn State, but their defensive line is so undersized. They probably have a better chance against Ohio State on the road than they do against Michigan at home, as weird as that sounds. Y'all think Michigan's just using these first 3 games to work on their passing game, and once conference play starts, they're going to revert back to more of a physical ground and pound type team? Have y'all, I know nobody's watched Michigan. They've played a bunch of nobodies, but they're throwing for over 300 a game and not running the ball that much. Have y'all noticed that? Michigan needs to work on pass, so seems likely based on their losses in the playoff. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Since their first 3 games are just complete nothings, maybe that's what they're doing. And then, once conference play starts, we'll see, that they do still have the ability to punish teams on the ground. But, like, if you watch their first 2 games, like, they look like more of a passing team than Ohio State does through 2 games. All right, Jonah. Appreciate you hanging out this morning, buddy. Lou, how about some Rapture to close the show out this morning? All right. Yeah, we haven't played that in a while. Oh, it's after 10 o'clock. Why y'all keep me on here for 2 goddamn hours? Y'all got me working overtime. Y'all got me working overtime today. What's wrong with y'all? No one even told me? Late 90s. When did I get into Tool? Late 90s. I wasn't one of the early, like, original Tool people. I didn't really get into Tool until the Schism album came out, or Lateralis in the late 90s, I guess it was. With Schism, Parable, Parabola, Lateralis, that record. Thank you, Swaggy, man. Here's your overtime pay. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Got to do the top 25 video today. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me this morning. We'll do it again tomorrow at 8 a.m. Lunch Money Show tonight coming up with me and Pigskin Pete at 10 o'clock. We'll figure out how much money me and Pete lost betting on football this past weekend, and then we will look to next weekend's games and all the latest odds on next weekend's games and try to figure out a way to lose more money again next weekend. Appreciate you hanging out, and talk to you again soon. The Rapture by Pussifer. Okay, then.
Scum on the shallow end of the sun.
to drop you like Cain. I had enough of your voodoo. I'm about to drop you like Cain. You better hope it takes you. Up to Sodom, your Gomorrah, delivering redemption. Feel my resurrection. I'm about to drop you like Cain. Like Cain drops Abel. I'm about to drop you like Cain. You better hope it takes you. I'm about to drop you like Cain. I had enough of your voodoo. I'm about to drop you like Cain. You better hope it takes you. Before I
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you can edit your meta tags page by page or all in one go. Modify your URLs, inspect all of